Welcome to episode 3 of Mostly Wrong Football Analysis. Today we're going to be talking about some of our favorite matchups for this week and just going over the spreads and who we think is going to cover or not cover those spreads. So, who do we got first here?
For football spreads, we're going to start off with the New England Patriots against the Kansas City Chiefs. We have a 6.5 point spread as of today, favoriting the Chiefs. Now, New England is your team, so go ahead and take it away. I do like this matchup as well. So go ahead.
So, for this particular matchup, I do see the Patriots keeping this a very close game. They have a very good defense, and I think they can definitely give a good matchup to the number one Chiefs right now. Mahomes this past week was amazing getting the ball downfield. I don't think the Patriots are going to give up a lot of those big plays. It's only a 6.5 point spread. The Patriots are very good at running the ball and maintaining possession, trying to wane down that clock. So I think the 6.5 point spread is going to be good. So I'm going to take the Patriots in this matchup with those points.
Agreed. I think it's going to be difficult on who wins the game, but I do trust the Patriots covering this spread. Bill Belichick always takes away your best weapons, and with that running back game, like you said, they did have Burkhead come back this last week. He performed well. With that, adding on to your roster, it only helps you more with that kind of trickery of what you can do with Cam Newton, Sony Michel running the ball, and along with Burkhead. I do like the Patriots in this matchup covering.
Okay, the next one we have here, we have the Ravens going against the Washington football team. Now this one is a 13-point spread favoring the Ravens. What are your thoughts on that one?
So I do like how we went from the Kansas City Chiefs back to the Ravens now. They had an interesting matchup Monday night. Ravens, I think, though, are going to bounce back after that game. Lamar Jackson kind of struggled throwing the ball, but this Washington football team doesn't really have any great attributes that makes me think they're going to cover within this 13-point spread. Now, if it changes to like 17, maybe even 20, we can reevaluate this, but at 13, I still like it for the Ravens. A lot of power on that offense and just not enough on that Washington football team for me to like them.
For me, when I'm looking at it, I do see there's expected to be rain at this particular game. So whenever I see that, I look at the team that's better at running the football, which I definitely see is going to be the Ravens. I definitely think they can put some points over the Washington football team, and I don't think the other team is going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, and it's still questionable whether Chase Young comes back or not, but even then, I don't see how you hold down Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, or even J.K. Dobbins at that. Like, running the ball is going to be the primary, especially with rain. Ravens, like I said, unless it becomes 20, they're my favorite. So our next matchup is going to be the Minnesota Vikings against the Houston Texans. Now, I kind of went on for the Vikings several times throughout this season. I'm done with them. I'm going to go with the Texans on this one. They are favored by 3.5. Both teams are 0-3. I think the Texans really want this first W to happen this week at Houston.
You know, I think this is going to be one of those games. It's going to come down to who wants it more. I did like how the Texans did put up a good fight against the Steelers. Ultimately, that game did get away from them. The Vikings, I do feel, have been getting very competitive in all of their games. I do think I would give the Vikings the edge on this one with the points to get the Texans. The Texans may still come out on top, but I think the Minnesota Vikings with those points is going to be who I'm going to go with.
All right. The last thing I want to mention is, like we did mention before, the Texans, whoever made their schedule was not in their favor. They did go against Kansas City. They did go against Baltimore, and they went against arguably the top 3 defense in the league of the Steelers. I did say before, this is one of the games that the Texans have to win to be even considered in any other matchup. Like, unless they're playing the Jets, the Giants, like, I almost wouldn't bet money on the Texans again if they can't win this game as well against another 0-3 team.
They do have, it being at home, I mean, you want to say there's going to be a home field advantage. They're more familiar with it, but with the way the games have been playing out so far, it doesn't really feel like home field advantage is really much of a factor anymore.
Agreed. So, looking to our Cowboys talk, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Cowboys against the Cleveland Browns. Cowboys are a 4.5 favorite. Honestly, this is kind of tough for me. I do like my Cowboys, but the Browns, the Browns always been that team. They have a lot of weapons in every game, just as the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't perform well with those weapons. Now, I do like Dak more than Mayfield. Nick Chubb and Ezekiel Elliott, they're kind of even. The receiving core, you look at OBJ, you look at Amari Cooper, there's a lot of good benefits. Both teams' defense are struggling passing-wise, but I want to say that the Dallas Cowboys can stop Nick Chubb better than the Cleveland Browns are going to stop Ezekiel Elliott. And that's why I'm going to take the Cowboys on this one.
And normally I would also take the Cowboys in this particular matchup just because they are playing at home. For me, however, I do think the Browns being an underdog with those 4.5 points does look very tempting.
It is 4.5. I won't give you that. Like, the Cowboys get to really blow out a team, and go ahead.
And that's kind of where I'm at with the Cowboys' defense has been struggling. You've seen teams go up on them quite a bit, and the Cleveland Browns don't have a terrible defense. They do still have Myles Garrett out there. They still got Denzel Ward playing, I'd say, a really good, solid season. So
it's just whether or not the Cowboys can prevent self-sabotaging themselves to be down that much.
And that's what it is. If this game, if there's no turnovers and the Cowboys can get to playing their strengths, then they should be able to get this spread. But with the 4.5 points, I'm going to take the Browns in this matchup.
Alrighty.
The last one I do want to go over here as well is going to be potentially a rivalry match between the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. Usually these teams go at it every year, and they do end up to be some high-scoring matchups. Falcons, I would say, is a very great offensive team. Their defense does tend to let them down in a lot of big games, and they've given up quite a few leads here in the past 2 weeks. The Green Bay Packers are playing some of the best football Aaron Rodgers has shown us in quite a few seasons. I think they are going to end up getting this particular matchup because it is going to be a 43% chance of rain, so you're not going to be able to pass the ball like the Falcons' strength is going to be. Their strength is passing, whereas you've got Aaron Jones on the Green Bay Packers. If the passing attack isn't there, he's still a very good back to have in your backfield.
Yeah, and I like the Packers to win this game. It's a 7.5 point spread favoring the Packers, but I just see Falcons covering the spread. And we're talking about the spread. I see them covering. The Packers, there's no reason they should lose this, even if they're down. But like I said, I'm going to take the Falcons to cover this spread. Their offense should stay within reach. That's my opinion. But of course, like you said, if you do the run game, Aaron Jones has been going off this season so far, whether he's doing an extended handoff and a catch or running the ball between the tackles.
So what I'm going to say as far as my picks, my pick for this matchup is that if there is, I would pay attention to the weather reports for this one. If there is rain, I'm going to be going with the Packers to cover the spread. If not, if it's going to be a light rain or none at all, I would take the Falcons to cover that spread.
Gotcha. Or whether the line even moves. I mean, if the line moves to maybe 10 or 8,
yes,
that could also change it for me as well. Or I don't see why it would go down, because the Packers have been unbelievable starting off 3-0. Falcons has shown us why they're 0-3. They cannot finish games and be consistent throughout the whole game.
Agreed.
All right, so that wraps it up for our top teams on the spread points for this week. Are mostly wrong, going to be mostly right. This week, top pick is going to be Steelers versus the Titans. Now, another one to keep an eye out for is the Ravens versus the Washington football team. Try and keep an eye out on where that line goes or finishes before the game starts. If not, we both really like that one as well. All right, and that gives it up for episode 3.